Why do people never accept they're wrong? It looks like stupidity, but it's not. It's something much deeper and much darker. Think about the last argument you had. Not a friendly discussion, but a real argument where both sides were trying to win. You explained your point clearly. You gave logic, maybe even proof, and yet the other person didn't change their mind, not even slightly. Instead, they defended themselves harder. They got emotional. They raised their voice. They made you feel like you were the one who didn't understand. At that moment, it feels simple. You think, they're just stupid. But that explanation is too easy, and it's wrong, because what you're seeing is not a lack of intelligence. It's a defense mechanism. Human beings are not built to accept truth. They are built to survive. And sometimes, truth feels like a threat. This is what Friedrich Nietzsche understood long before modern psychology. He believed that humans don't actually seek truth. They seek stability. They seek meaning. They seek something that allows them to function without falling apart. Now imagine what happens when you prove someone wrong. You're not just correcting a fact. You're attacking the structure that person has built inside their mind. Beliefs are not just ideas, they are part of identity. And identity is fragile. A person spends years building who they are, through family, through culture, through experience, through pain. Every belief they hold becomes a piece of that structure. Now when you say, you're wrong, it doesn't feel like information, it feels like destruction. Because if one belief is wrong, then what else is? And if too many things are wrong, then who are they? This is where fear begins, not logical fear, but existential fear. The kind of fear that Fyodor Dostoevsky wrote about, the fear of facing yourself without illusions. Most people cannot handle that, so the mind does something clever. It protects itself. It rejects the truth. Not because the truth is weak, but because the person is not ready. This is why arguments almost never work. You think you're having a debate, but you're not. You're threatening someone's identity. An identity doesn't respond to logic. It responds to emotion, to fear, to survival. Even Arthur Schopenhauer believed that humans are not rational beings. We don't use logic to discover truth. We use logic to defend what we already believe. So when someone refuses to accept they're wrong, they're not thinking clearly. They're protecting themselves. And if you pay attention, you'll notice something uncomfortable. You do it too. There are beliefs you hold right now that you have never questioned, not deeply, not honestly. Because questioning them would create discomfort. It would create doubt. It would create instability. And your mind doesn't want that. It wants certainty. Even if that certainty is false, this is the trap. People don't avoid truth because they are stupid. They avoid truth because truth has consequences. If you accept you're wrong, you have to change. You have to rebuild parts of yourself. You have to admit that the version of you that existed before was incomplete, maybe even delusional. And that's painful, more painful than being wrong in the first place. So instead of changing, people defend, they argue louder, they become aggressive, they dismiss you, they mock you, they walk away, anything to avoid that internal collapse. And the more insecure a person is, the stronger this reaction becomes. Because deep down, they already feel unstable, and the last thing they want is more doubt. This is why confidence can be misleading. Sometimes, the most confident person in the room is just the most afraid of being exposed, afraid of being wrong, afraid of losing control. So they double down on every belief, on every opinion, on every argument, not because they are right, but because they cannot afford to be wrong. Now here's the part most people ignore. If you truly understand this, you stop arguing. Not because you're weak, but because you realize you're not fighting ideas, you're fighting survival instincts, and you cannot defeat that with logic. Instead, you become more aware. You start questioning yourself. You start noticing your own reactions, your own defensiveness, your own need to be right. Because the real growth doesn't come from proving others wrong. It comes from being able to say, I was wrong, and meaning it. That takes something rare, not intelligence, not knowledge, but courage. The courage to break your own identity, the courage to sit with discomfort, the courage to rebuild yourself again and again. Very few